Hi, this is Justin Hansen with Infront Consulting Group. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about one of our automated solutions we call Beekeeper. Beekeeper is designed to automate the end-to-end process of patching your server infrastructure, as well as handling all the validation tasks or health checks that are typically manually performed within these windows. Things such as making sure your application service is shut down and starts up correctly is going to be key to the overall availability of that application as well as its stability. Beekeeper can also help to ensure compliance on a month-to-month or quarterly basis. So what we're looking at here is the Beekeeper Dashboard. What we see here is exactly how my environment's configured, how much time Beekeeper has actually spent patching servers. On the right here we can also see the overall health of the components necessary for patching. At the bottom here we see the cluster patching progress table. This gives me an idea of what exactly is being patched and how far along in that process we are. As you can see here, we're in the middle of patching an Exchange DAG, and we're currently patching node 3 of 3. In order to configure a server in Beekeeper, we simply head over to the Servers and Clusters area and select the server or cluster type that we'd like to configure. In this case, I'm going to select Application Group, where I can configure any type of application servers or server farms that I may want to patch. In this case here, we can see we have our WriteFax environment, and that's made up of a single server called WriteFax. Now to add a new server config, I simply head up to the top right corner, click the Add New button, and I can provide the information required to configure that server or app group. To give you a sense of what that looks like, I'm going to go ahead here and edit my WriteFax application group. And here are the options that are presented to the user when we're either adding a new one or editing an existing application group. To add a new node, I can simply add my second node, WriteFax 02, click Add, and there you have it. We can start patching both of these nodes as part of the single app group. In this case, this node doesn't exist, so I'm going to remove that and leave the settings as is. Now once we have configured the cluster, the other place to take a look at is the validation tasks. Now validation tasks are those manual tasks that are typically performed within the patching windows. As I said, making sure your application shuts down and starts up correctly. Oftentimes what we see with customers is when they manually perform these tasks, they're often incorrectly performed or they miss certain steps. Of course, human error plays a big role in this, so automating this is going to be key to the success in maintaining the availability of those applications. We'll go ahead and configure a Run PowerShell script task. In this case, for my application, I need to run a particular PowerShell command or script and have that executed throughout the maintenance. So to add a new task, I simply, again, head up to the top right corner, click Add New, give my task a name, in this case, Test Script, and I could simply copy and paste my script in this field here. I then provide an expected output if there is one. In this case there will be. We'll call it OK. And I'm going to select a stop on failure, indicating that if this particular script task fails to execute based on the configuration, then I want Beekeeper to stop patching that particular app group or cluster. Go ahead and save that task, and we now have that task configured and ready to be associated with our cluster. Now in order to configure this particular task with our WriteFax environment, I'm going to head back over to the application group, locate my WriteFax app group. Under validation tasks, I'm going to click Edit and edit my currently configured tasks. As you can see here on the right corner, these are the tasks that are already configured within this app group. I'm going to locate on the left here my test script that I just created, simply add that and define the phase, sequence, and node on which to run this task. So in this case, I need to run this script when I'm done patching the node. So I'm going to select the phase on node end. As you can see, it's rearranged itself for me automatically. If I head over to the second page, I can see that we now have that configured to run on node end. We do have several tasks configured to run on node end, so we can then leverage the sequence column to define what sequence these tasks should run in. In this case, I have no preference as to when this script runs. There are no dependencies for it on the other tasks, so I'll leave the sequence as 1. I also have the ability to specify which node in particular I'd like to run this task. In this case, it needs to run on all of my nodes within that app group. I'll save that. And we've now configured that extra task on this particular Writefax environment, and we're ready to go and start patching, as well as perform that particular task in an automated fashion. So looking at the different types of validation tasks, you can start to imagine the flexibility and options you have in executing these validations or health checks throughout your maintenance window. Now that we have our application group and tasks associated with our application group, we need to specify when we would like to patch. So if I head over to the Schedules section, go to Edit Schedule, you can see here that I have a list of predefined schedules that are already configured. We can configure a one-time schedule to execute at a particular time on a certain date, or a recurring schedule. For example, I like to patch my servers 3 days after Patch Tuesday, so I've already configured a schedule to kick off on that time. If we take a look at how that's configured, I'll simply edit that schedule, and you can see here that it's effective from July 15th of 2016. It triggers at 2 a.m. and it recurs on the second Tuesday every month with a 3-day offset. So this means 3 days after the second Tuesday of every month. And you can see here at the bottom, it's calculated out for me when the next execution will occur, which is fantastic. I don't need to worry about have I configured it correctly or not. In addition to configuring our schedules, we can view them on a calendar view. And here you can see at a glance when my maintenance windows occur or when my schedules occur. I can look at it on a month-to-month or even a week-to-week basis if I like. Now that we understand how we configure our clusters, how we can configure our schedules, we're going to want to get a sense of the history of our patch jobs or how existing jobs are running in detail. So if I head over to the history page, we can see at a glance exactly the success rate of what actually happened during these patch windows. We can see here in my Writefax patch job that it had succeeded patching within 8 minutes and it installed the following 2 updates. If I further expand the node, I can see all of the tasks being performed under the hood throughout these execution jobs. Things such as, making sure that the server is online and it has enough free disk space, performing our validation tasks, and checking for new updates, so on and so forth. So as you can see, Beekeeper is a great tool to automate the patching of your environment. What this is going to do is it's going to save a lot of headaches when it comes to patching applications, right? We have the ability to perform these validation tasks without error 100% of the time. That's going to ensure that our application availability is right up there at 100%. Not only that, but because Beekeeper is patching the system and handling the reboots for us, it's going to make sure that after it finishes patching any given server, that all of the updates that have been deployed to that server are in fact installed. So this is great. Not only are we eliminating human error, not only can we schedule and automate the patching of our environment as well as the validations therein, but we also have the ability to integrate it with our existing IT infrastructure to seamlessly perform server patching in an automated fashion. This is going to maintain compliance. It's going to give a lot of time back to your analysts so that they're not coming in here after hours or on weekends doing the patching or maintenance manually. They can schedule it once and forget it. They get email notifications throughout the patching process, as you can see here. For the job that's currently running against our Exchange DAG, I'm getting updates as it's running through those, letting me know exactly how many updates are pending on which system. We'll get these status updates, and once it's all completed, we'll get a completion report. Here's an example of a Beekeeper patch report for my Writefax environment. You can see again, it patched here in this amount of 8 minutes, installed those 2 updates, and performed all of these validation tasks that I had configured, as well as performing a send and receive synthetic transaction, which I've configured as a run PowerShell task. And it's kicking off all of this after the patching is complete. So looking at this email alone, I know exactly what was patched and whether my environment is healthy or not. I hope that this video has been informative and that you're starting to think about the ways in which you can leverage Beekeeper to perform that automated patching and validation tasks within your application server environment. This is going to increase your overall compliance, and it's going to free up the time of your analysts, which they can then reinvest back into further automation within your environment or technology to help move your business forwards. This has been Justin Hansen with Infront Consulting Group. Thank you for your time.